By the end of this video, you'll have the confidence to fix your own car when it comes time for maintenance or when it breaks down. And that's the Z-Line guarantee. We're gonna do a little experiment using this method. I'm gonna bring in my friend who's never thought of fixing a car a day in her life. And I'm gonna get her to learn how to fix it and then actually do it. A small fix on my 350Z. Nothing crazy, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not. So how do we know if this actually works? Well, with my limited resources and minimal experience, I was actually able to drop my transmission, install a modified slave cylinder system, and put everything back together in one piece. I'm still alive, so I did this all in my driveway and for about half the cost that it would have been to take it to a mechanic. And that includes buying tools. Video coming soon, by the way. Stay tuned, subscribe. So a little backstory first. I recommend you listen to this, but if you want to skip to the juice, I'll leave a timestamp on the bottom of the screen. When I first started this channel, my first upload was a video of me trying to fix my car for the first time.
Expose the nut that holds the battery.
Expose my nuts. I'll leave a link to that in the description. My only prior experience to that was oil changes and brake pad swaps, which if you've done before, you'd know that
my disabled babushka can do that shit.
But this was different. My car genuinely broke down and I had to figure out what was wrong with it first. Now what this video won't teach you is how to diagnose a problem. That's a whole other can of worms. Anyway, I quickly figured out that my problem was that I needed an alternator replacement.
That's what I'm talking about.
At first, I thought I'm a little bit out of my scope here. But then I watched a video walkthrough and it looked intimidating but doable. So I tackled it. I followed a few videos, and in a couple afternoons it worked out, and I only spent $150 to fix my car, whereas if I brought it to the mechanic, it would probably cost double that. However, I recently uploaded a video titled How to Drive Home with a Broken Clutch. In this video, I discovered that a component inside the car's transmission had actually failed. So I thought I was f***ed. I thought that I had to pay $2,000 to mechanics to get this thing back on the road. And fortunately for me, that wasn't an option, so I clenched my cheeks and I started hitting the books. So I quickly realized that in this scenario, no amount of videos were gonna help me. The job was just way too lengthy and intricate, and 2-hour videos of monotone mechanics just couldn't hold my attention long enough without making me question my existence. Somewhere along the road, I discovered something called the factory service manual. This is the tool that mechanics use when even they don't know how to do a particular fix. They should probably use it more often. I'm joking, it's a joke. Get your mouse away from the dislike button, you dirty grease monkey. The moment I laid eyes upon it, I was in love. These puppies hold every instruction for taking apart the whole damn car and putting it back together, and every single car has one. Not to mention that you can find the PDFs for free online a lot of the time. It lays everything out in great detail and with plenty of pictures for all you, anti-readers out there. So I printed all the relevant pages and I got to work. There were a few setbacks like rusted and broken bolts, but I was managing.
Yes!
The problem with the factory service manual is that it'll never repeat itself. So if it already says something in another section, it'll redirect you there instead of rehashing itself. This saves space in the document, but in practice, it gets a little confusing, overwhelming, and ultimately discouraging. One of the days I was supposed to work underneath the car, it was cold and wet. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna not be productive. No. Instead of staying inside, I decided I'm gonna stay productive. So I took the factory service manual and I started to compile all the steps one by one in a Word document. I put it in my own words, in perfect order, and with great detail. What this did is help me familiarize myself with the job, but more importantly, it eliminated any of the doubt that I had in my mind of, am I doing this right, or did I miss a step? I like to call it artificial confidence. You know exactly what needs to be done and how to do it, and therefore cannot screw up. So here's exactly how I did that. I'm going to quickly preface this by saying that you should start small. Before you go ahead and drop your engine, maybe do like an oil change, swap out your brake pads, you know, change a serpentine belt. Starting small is an easy way to minimize the risk and familiarize yourself with the nuances of car work. It'll also help you build your arsenal of tools steadily and progressively rather than all at once spending like $1,000 on tools. Let me just say, I know this is the third hairstyle in one video, but I put a lot of work into this video, so just give me a break, alright? Okay, so you found the factory service manual, aka the workshop manual for your vehicle. First of all, you need to figure out how to read your manual. Read your general info section or whatever the equivalent for your manual is. This will explain any symbols, acronyms, and other indicators that the manual uses. It'll also give you a warning about general stuff that you shouldn't do so that you don't hurt yourself, your car, or anyone around you. And skip the electrical diagram explanations if you don't intend on working with electricals. Next, find a simple job that already has a how-to video available for your car, like changing brakes or spark plugs. And find that section in your manual. So removal and installation of brake pads. Let's jump to that. Compare the steps you see in the video to the manual. This is going to help you understand the language of the manual and also how to navigate it. Next, you need to understand torque specifications, which is basically how strong you need to tighten your bolts or nuts, aka fasteners, when you reassemble them. In my manual, it's measured in a number of different units, which is Newton meters, kilogram meters, and foot pounds. Now, if it's a black wrench symbol like this, instead of a white wrench symbol like this, it's going to show it in inch pounds instead of foot pounds. You can measure the force you're applying to any particular nut or bolt with a torque wrench. The torque wrench will make an audible clicking noise once you've tightened the fastener to the setting that you chose.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Don't confuse that with the ratcheting click. That's entirely different.
am I going the wrong way? No.
Yeah, you're going the wrong way. That's not that click, that's the ratcheting click.
After you've figured out and understood how to read your manual, locate the job that you want to perform. So again, I'll use brakes as an example. Read the step carefully until you understand it and don't miss any details. Now, create a text document. In that text document, rewrite the step in your own words and in a way that you know you'll understand it later. So I'm gonna skip the first step because that's kind of obvious. You know, use your common sense. Make sure you lift the car first before you remove the wheel. So number 2, remove the lower sliding pin bolt. So there's a number of things you can do here. You can either describe it really well. You can call it the lower bolt on the caliper that's facing towards the front. But what I prefer to do, what I much prefer to do, is to copy over any relevant images to the document. So the way to do this on Windows is by going into the snipping tool app. This is built into every Windows PC. You can create new here. It'll give you a little crosshairs. Click and drag everything that you want to take. And you can include the symbol explanation there as well if you want. And then once we're here, you can press the little copy button and then you can press Ctrl V or paste, just like that. And you have the diagram included in your Word document. Beautiful. If you're on a Mac, you can press Command-Shift-4. This will give you the crosshairs you just saw to click and drag over an image, and it'll save it to your desktop, and from there you can drag it onto the document. Repeat this with every applicable step until you've created your own custom manual for this job. Here's a few tips to keep in mind when you're making your manual. Make sure you read all the warnings and safety information for your own sake. It's just going to minimize your risk, make sure nobody gets hurt. And don't forget to actually write it down in your manual. Second tip is to break down the big steps into smaller steps. I'll show you what I mean. I'll use this step as an example. Remove the propeller shaft. So that's a big step. So what we're going to do is we're going to paste that step, and then we're going to go to PR6 where it says removal and installation. And underneath step number 6, we're going to write step 6A. And we can press tab to move that ahead so that we know it's part of step 6. And then from here, you can copy all of the removal steps one by one. So step 6A would be set the transmission to neutral. Step 6B would be release the parking brake, and so on. The final tip, just to save you a little time, refer to your installation steps for your reinstallation steps. So what I mean by that is that when you write down how to reinstall everything, don't linger on the details. You're going to be familiar with the job. Just keep it brief. But something you should do is write down the torque specs for each respective step. The last missing piece of the puzzle is hardware management, aka keeping track of your nuts and bolts. So this is the best method I could come up with. Every time I removed nuts and bolts from a component, I would put it in its own little section in a compartment box. You can find compartment boxes at pretty much any hardware store. Then I take a sticky note and I write down which step and which part those particular nuts and bolts are associated with. I folded up the sticky note and put it underneath the hardware in the compartment box. So that way if I forgot where a certain nut or bolt went, I could pick up the note, read it, and I wouldn't have to worry about any missing bolts or having to figure out where they go. That's it. Just follow your own instructions and the job's done. It's foolproof. Assuming that a fool can read and write, but that's it. Looks like though, you're officially a mechanic.
Yeah, let's get it.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I put a lot of work into it, so you better enjoy it. Big announcement, I am going to, every time I do a job on my 350Z, I'm gonna upload the entire process, but I'm also gonna do quick how-to videos. So like how to drop a 350Z transmission in 3 minutes. So if you're a 350Z owner, this is great news. It's great news. Keep an eye out for a ton of guides coming out just for you. I'm watching out for you. You gotta watch out for me and subscribe, all right? I see you. Don't be shy. Oh wait.